Have you ever watched someone with absolutely no expertise confidently argue against someone who has spent their entire life studying a subject? It's a frustrating phenomenon, but it's not new. In fact, it's entirely predictable. There are real psychological reasons why people with no knowledge feel entitled to challenge those who
actually know what they're talking about.
And no, it's not because they're enlightened free thinkers. It's because they are, in a very real way, operating with a distorted sense of their own intelligence and understanding. We're going to break this down step by step, and by the end, you'll understand exactly why some people confidently argue against experts, despite having little to no knowledge themselves, and why no amount of logic seems to change their minds. The reasons are deeply psychological, rooted in cognitive biases and emotional defense mechanisms, rather than a conscious rejection of truth. You may recognize these behaviors in people you know or public figures, and that's understandable. But the focus here isn't about individuals. It's about the psychology behind the behavior. So let's dive in. First, there is the Dunning-Kruger Effect. This is where it all starts. The less someone knows about a topic, the more confident they are that they understand it. Why? Because they lack the ability to recognize their own ignorance. Experts, on the other hand, are painfully aware of how complex their field is.
They know what they don't know.
But those with little understanding? They assume that because they can Google something, they're suddenly just as qualified as someone with decades of experience. This is why those with the least expertise often speak with the most confidence. Second, motivated reasoning and confirmation bias. People don't argue to seek truth. They argue to defend what they already believe. Motivated reasoning happens when someone twists facts to fit their existing beliefs, instead of adjusting their beliefs to fit the facts. And confirmation bias? That's the tendency to only listen to information that supports what they already think. So, when an expert presents clear, undeniable evidence, the uninformed don't see it as information, they see it as a threat, and instead of thinking critically, they double down. Third, the distrust of experts and anti-intellectualism. There is a certain type of person who rejects expertise on principle. Why? Because deep down, they resent those who are more knowledgeable than they are. Instead of recognizing their own limitations, they convince themselves that experts are corrupt, elitist, or part of some grand conspiracy. But here's the truth. They don't distrust experts because they've done deep research. They distrust experts because admitting someone else knows more would require humility, and humility requires intelligence. Fourth, emotional investment and identity protection. For some people, their beliefs are so deeply tied to their sense of self that challenging those beliefs feels like a personal attack.
They don't just hold opinions, they are their opinions.
And when an expert presents facts that contradict those opinions, it's not just an argument to them, it's an existential crisis. Their brain responds the same way it would if they were being physically attacked, with pure, unthinking fight or flight mode. There is no rational discussion here, just irrational, knee-jerk defensiveness. Fifth, the internet and social media effect. The internet has convinced a lot of people that they're more knowledgeable than they really are. Before, if someone had an uninformed opinion, they'd keep it to themselves or share it with a few unlucky family members. Now, they can post it online, find an entire echo chamber of people who agree with them, and suddenly feel like an authority. Social media rewards confidence, not competence. The most aggressive, ill-informed views spread the fastest. The loudest people in the comments aren't the ones with PhDs. They're the ones who have no idea what they're talking about, but plenty of time to argue. Sixth, oversimplification of complex issues. Experts understand that the world is complicated. Those with little understanding don't like that. They prefer easy answers to hard questions. And because they don't understand complexity, they assume it doesn't exist. This is why they latch onto conspiracy theories and oversimplified explanations. A single sentence filled with emotion and certainty is more appealing to them than a carefully constructed, evidence-based analysis. They don't have the patience or the intellectual curiosity for nuance. Seventh, ego and status-seeking behavior. Arguing with an expert is not about the topic at all. It's about feeling powerful. Some people refuse to listen because they don't actually care what's true. They just want to win the argument. It's why they gloat when they own someone in a debate, why they refuse to admit when they're wrong, and why they love arguing with professionals in public forums. To them, challenging an expert makes them look smart, even if, to the rest of us, they look completely clueless. the bottom line? All of this adds up to one simple truth. People who argue with experts despite having no knowledge or experience are not operating on a high intellectual level. They're not debating in good faith, they're not seeking truth, and they're certainly not as informed as they think they are. And, unfortunately, you cannot use logic to convince someone out of a position which they did not use logic to get into.